Welcome back. This is episode 3 of the On-Site podcast. Picture yourself standing in front of a tiny hotel room closet. It's Monday morning, your very first day working in an American corporate office, and you are locked in an absolute sweat-inducing wardrobe panic.
It's just the ultimate fish out of water scenario,
Yep.
Because all the rules he relied on back in India, like the rigid, highly predictable dress codes that dictate exactly where you stand in the corporate hierarchy, they suddenly just don't apply.
Right.
He's thousands of miles from home, staring at hangars, and operating entirely on guesswork.
And he is terrified of getting it wrong. I mean, he's trying to decode this incredibly vague, highly dangerous matrix of American business casual.
It's just so stressful.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
He doesn't own a suit. He doesn't have a blazer. For a wild, desperate second, he actually considers putting on a pair of jeans.
Which would be like career suicide in his mind. Coming from a culture where formality equals respect, wearing denim on day one feels like showing up in your pajamas.
Exactly. He physically cannot bring himself to do it. But then on the other end of the spectrum, he has these sharp, heavy, blue and black formal trousers that scream 1950s bank manager.
So he compromises.
Yeah, he goes with khakis. A safe, neutral, middle-of-the-road baseline while he figures out the actual rules of the land. But here is where it gets highly relatable. Getting dressed is only half the problem.
Right, the bag.
Yes. As the clock ticks down to his departure time, he realizes he has absolutely nothing to take with him.
No corporate laptop yet.
Yeah.
No packed lunch. He doesn't even know where he's going to find vegetarian food in the middle of a commercial American workday.
But walking out the door completely empty-handed just feels unnatural. It makes him feel incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah, you need something to hold on to.
So he scrambles. He grabs his empty backpack, unzips it, and throws in the only item he can find from his weekend grocery run, which is a single king-size bar of chocolate.
And let's be clear about the mechanics of this choice. This was not, a strategic, high-protein energy snack to optimize his blood sugar through a long day of meetings.
Oh, not at all. He didn't even know what an energy bar was back in 2006. He threw that massive chocolate bar in there purely for the gravitational pull.
The physical weight of it.
Right. He needed the bag to have physical weight. It was an emotional anchor to hold on to as he stepped out of that hotel room and into the total unknown.
It's just a beautifully transparent detail. I mean, think about your own first days at a new job, that low-level nausea of not knowing where the bathrooms are or how the coffee machine works.
Oh, the worst feeling.
Now multiply that by a massive international culture shock. He just needed a physical object to keep from floating away.
I love that. And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive. Today, we are riding shotgun on the author's very first day at an American corporate office. We're exploring the culture shocks, the shattered expectations, and the hidden mechanics of the corporate world that he had to decode in real time.
And that decoding begins the absolute second he steps out of the hotel lobby. His new boss, Larry, told him on Friday to be ready at 7:30 sharp.
Right.
Coming from a professional culture that worships clinical clockwork accuracy, he is standing on that curb early.
And right on cue, Larry pulls up. But it isn't just a car. It's a sleek, silver BMW coupe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it smells like expensive leather and icy air conditioning. To a kid fresh out of India, sitting in this low-profile luxury vehicle feels like riding around inside a television commercial.
It's a severe sensory shift. Back in Mumbai, the commute is dominated by highly practical, incredibly crowded utilitarian vehicles.
Totally different world.
Yeah, so the silver BMW is his first tactile collision with American wealth.
And as they cruise toward downtown Pensacola, he gets his first unobstructed look at the American landscape. And it completely rewires his brain. Like, Mumbai is vertical, dense, chaotic, and overlapping. This is just endless.
The scale is staggering. I mean, everything is spread out over miles of highway. And the commercial landscape is dizzyingly repetitive. He's looking out the window of this luxury car at an endless alternating sequence of fast food joints and massive buildings with large crosses on them.
The fast food and church highway.
Yeah.
But, as they are driving through this very specific slice of Americana, he's building up this massive expectation in his head.
About the office.
Yeah. Back in India, if you were an engineer working on a high-level corporate IT project, your destination was a soaring, multi-story glass building tucked inside a manicured, highly secured commercial tech park. It was a massive status symbol.
So naturally, he assumes the American version, like the headquarters of the client, is going to be a sprawling, ultra-modern architectural marvel.
Exactly. Let's unpack this expectation versus reality, because he expects to walk onto a futuristic, big-budget movie set. Instead, Larry pulls the BMW off the highway and parks in front of a completely unassuming, one-story building right on the hot pavement of Garden Street.
The contrast is brutal. Across from the office is this mismatched urban quilt, just modest houses, derelict parking lots, a couple sleepy churches.
I have to push back here, though. Why would a massive American insurance processing operation be housed in a building that looks like a local hardware store? That makes absolutely no sense to me.
Well, it actually makes perfect business sense when you understand the differing economic logic between the two countries.
Okay, how so?
In India, a corporate tech building is a billboard. It is actively designed to look imposing to attract foreign investment and project stability. But in the U.S., for a mid-level insurance processing center, real estate is just a sunk cost.
Oh,
Yeah, they don't need a glass tower to impress anyone. They need cheap square footage, cheap electricity, and a large parking lot. It's an engine room, not a showroom.
that is fascinating. So the grand illusion of the American IT park just shatters right there on the pavement. There's just a tiny logo near the door. But once Larry swipes his badge and they step inside, the sleeky warehouse facade completely vanishes.
Yes, the exterior is modest, but the interior reveals a highly engineered, massive corporate ecosystem.
It's like stepping into Narnia, but for middle management. Let me set the scene for you. Right at the front, there is the client services department. This is the exclusive, professional buffer zone.
Right.
Larry has a commanding office with a floor-to-ceiling window looking out at the traffic. Outside his door, there is a neat, quiet little bullpen of about 7 pristine corporate cubicles.
But that quiet, manageable front section is a strategic illusion
Totally.
because it opens directly into the actual operation.
And the scale of it knocks the wind out of him. He steps through those double doors, and suddenly he is staring at a sprawling labyrinth of desk aisles housing more than 150 people. The air is thick with synchronized white noise, dozens and dozens of people simultaneously taking customer calls, typing, processing mountains of insurance paperwork.
He also discovers architectural elements that completely baffle him,
Like what?
like the formalized, corporate-sanctioned outdoor smoking area out in the back parking lot.
A designated smoking zone. Coming from his background, the idea that a company would build infrastructure to actually support employee smoke breaks was wild. But honestly, navigating the physical map of the floor wasn't the hard part. The real shock was the language.
Oh, the terminology.
Yeah, we have this massive, humming physical space, but how do the people inside it actually operate?
What's fascinating here is what I like to call the euphemism treadmill of American corporate culture.
The euphemism treadmill. I like that.
Yeah, he realizes almost immediately that his entire professional vocabulary is useless. The labels he knew back home have been completely redesigned.
They really have. In India, job titles were stark, literal, direct. But here, they are polished to this high-gloss sheen. The person he would traditionally address as a secretary is suddenly introduced to him with serious, heavy corporate weight as an executive assistant.
Right, and think about that sprawling floor of 150 people taking calls. Universally, across the globe, that is known as a call center.
But not in this building. The term call center does not exist. It has been rebranded into the highly clinical, very modern contact center.
Even the room where you eat your lunch, what you always call the canteen, is strictly referred to as the break room.
And the office boy or peon is institutionalized under facilities. But hold on, are they actually doing anything different, or is this just dressing up the exact same job?
We connect this to the bigger picture. It is exactly the same job. The actual mechanics of the work haven't changed one bit, but this is the American mechanism of verbal inflation.
Verbal inflation, okay.
It is a psychological tool. When a company wants to mask the mundane nature of repetitive labor or blur the stark class divides in a room, they inflate the job titles. It sounds egalitarian. It pays people in prestige and perceived importance.
Which is significantly cheaper than paying them more money.
Exactly.
That makes so much sense. So he's translating this verbal inflation in real time. But beyond the language, let's talk about the actual power dynamics on this floor. You've got a massive 150-person contact center processing complex insurance data. You would assume there's a massive engineering department keeping those servers from catching fire.
You absolutely would.
But there isn't. There is exactly one guy.
One guy.
One single programmer supporting the entire digital infrastructure of this massive operation. His name is Bill.
And to the offshore team back in India, Bill is a mythic figure.
Oh, he's a tech deity. Bill has been writing code for over 30 years. He has a photographic memory for software architecture. I mean, he can casually quote lines of code he wrote in the 1980s without even glancing at a screen.
Wow.
Yeah. The offshore team in Mumbai had been working with him remotely for a year, studying his code from thousands of miles away like it was ancient scripture. So walking into the office and seeing Bill in the flesh is a monumental, awe-inspiring moment for the author.
He is fully expecting a warm mentor-mentee dynamic, a passing of the torch.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because Bill does not want to pass the torch. In fact, Bill is actively hostile to the idea.
Because the mythic tech deity is, in reality, a fiercely protective gatekeeper holding onto his territory.
When they shake hands, the author feels this immediate icy distance. He thinks he's arriving as a helpful assistant to lighten this poor guy's impossible workload. But I have to ask you, why wouldn't Bill want the help? Isn't he drowning in work?
He might be, but you have to look at the underlying corporate mechanics. Bill doesn't see an assistant. He sees the vanguard of outsourcing.
Ah, right.
For 3 decades, Bill has held the keys to the entire digital empire. His value to the company is his irreplaceability.
And then the new guy shows up.
Exactly. Suddenly, management flies in an eager, young offshore programmer who is half his age and costs a fraction of his salary and sits him right next to his desk. Bill isn't being mean. He is acting out of pure, rational self-preservation. This kid is a direct threat to his absolute monopoly.
The tension is so thick you could cut it with a router. The reality of corporate survival just instantly crushes the author's hero worship. It is incredibly awkward.
I bet.
But the corporate onboarding machine does not stop for awkwardness. Right after that tense, icy introduction, the IT coordinator walks in carrying a couple of boxes. And this is the moment the script flips entirely, and the author gets an absolute rush of adrenaline.
Yes, the delivery of the hardware.
The IT guy hands him a brand new Dell Latitude laptop and a matching heavy-duty Dell backpack. But now, to anyone listening to us right now, a company laptop is just a heavy piece of plastic. It's an anchor that ties you to your email.
Right.
But to him, in 2006, this is breathtaking.
Because the physical tools of the job carried entirely different cultural weights. Yeah. Back in the Mumbai office, status was etched in stone by what hardware sat on your desk. The vast majority of the engineering floor was tethered to heavy, immobile desktop PCs.
Right. Laptops were this rare, intensely coveted privilege reserved exclusively for very senior managers. The rank-and-file engineers used to watch the elite executives walk into conference rooms and casually flip open their screens with pure envy.
Oh, sure.
Having a laptop didn't just mean you were mobile, it meant you were important. You were trusted by the corporation.
Though, paradoxically, those heavy desktops enforced a brilliant structural work-life boundary. Because you physically could not take a desktop home on the crowded Mumbai trains, the work had to stay on the floor.
Wait, really?
Yeah, when your shift ended, you were actually free.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that. The laptop is a trap. It's the illusion of freedom that actually forces you to work at 9 p.m. on a Sunday.
Completely.
But at the time, all he wanted was the prestige. And the IT guy unpacks a sleek wireless keyboard, a wireless mouse, and a docking station. When the laptop clicks into the dock, all the wires just vanish. It's a clean, minimalist setup. But wait, if he has the elite hardware, where are they putting him to work?
Well, this is where he looks around and realizes something even more profound about American office geography.
He looks at his premium cubicle walls. He looks at his high-end ergonomic office chair. He looks at his massive desk space. And then he looks over at Bill.
Oh, boy.
His workspace is an exact, perfect, down-to-the-inch replica of the 30-year veteran's workspace.
Which completely shatters his internalized rules of corporate status. In India, the hierarchy was intensely rigid and constantly announced by physical boundaries. As you climbed from a junior programmer to a team lead to a senior architect, your chair gained armrests, your desk got wider, your tech got fancier.
Your physical space was your resume.
Exactly. But here, on day one, as a newly arrived offshore resource, he is handed the exact same real estate and equipment as the sole gatekeeper of the company's tech empire.
I don't buy that this is a perfect system, though. If you give the new guy the exact same desk as the guy who built the company, how do you reward loyalty? Doesn't that breed resentment?
It absolutely breeds resentment. I mean, just look at Bill.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., status is often masked. It's invisible. It's about who gets invited to the closed-door meetings, who has access to the executive break room, and who holds the stock options. The physical desks are modular and flat because it's cheaper and easier to rearrange the furniture that way, not because the power dynamics are actually equal.
That is wild. But for the author, the perceived equity of it is mind-blowing. It feels profoundly luxurious. He slides that empty backpack, the one with the lonely chocolate bar under his desk, and for a moment, the panic is just gone. He has arrived.
But the corporate world has a funny way of bringing you right back to reality.
Oh, definitely. Because after spending the entire morning clicking through mind-numbing HIPAA compliance training.
And we should clarify, for anyone who hasn't worked in American healthcare, HIPAA is a massive, strictly enforced federal privacy law. It treats medical data practically like state secrets.
Super strict.
Yeah, that's why that 150-person contact center is locked down like a fortress, and why the offshore workers face such a steep, highly regulated learning curve on day one.
Exactly. So he's exhausted, his brain is swimming in federal regulations, and then noon rolls around. And a brand new, entirely different kind of panic sets in. The lunchtime social chess match.
Ah, yes. His boss, Larry, casually walks over to his cubicle and asks the most mundane question in the English language. What are your plans for lunch?
And the author's brain just short circuits. He is trapped in a logical paradox. If he confesses that he has absolutely no plans, no food, and no idea where to go, he feels like he's going to look incompetent and disorganized on his very first day.
But if he lies and says he already ate, the lie instantly falls apart.
Right.
He has no physical proof, no wrappers, no trash, and no logical way to explain how he procured food in a suburban American office park without a car or a phone.
It is a hilarious internal crisis.
Yeah.
So he threads the needle. He delivers the safest, most neutral answer he can possibly muster. He just looks at Larry and says, "I'm open."
A brilliant piece of corporate diplomacy.
Right. So Larry nods and gestures for him to follow. They walk out of the icy air conditioning onto the hot pavement of Garden Street and walk about half a mile down to the local deli, the Garden Street Cafe.
Now keep in mind, the author is a strict vegetarian. Navigating a traditional American deli menu for the first time, with its endless variations of cold cuts, cheeses, and spreads, is a deeply intimidating task.
He doesn't even know where to look, so Larry just quietly takes the lead. He steps up to the counter and orders a highly customized, sparse vegetarian sandwich for him.
Just lettuce, tomato, onion, and cucumber.
Yeah, incredibly simple by complex Indian culinary standards. But the real shock comes when the author sits down and takes his very first bite.
The rye bread mystery.
Yes, he is chewing it, and his brain is vibrating with deep culinary confusion. It is his very first time ever tasting rye bread, and he's thinking, what is this incredibly odd, sharp, almost bitter flavor?
Not what he's used to at all.
No, it doesn't taste like the soft, sweet breads back home.
The flavor profile itself is like a physical manifestation of his culture shock. Sharp, unfamiliar, and difficult to swallow at first.
But the vegetables are fresh, the act of eating is comforting, and the panic starts to subside. And then the bill arrives, and Larry casually reaches out, takes the check, and pays for the lunch out of his own pocket.
In the moment, the author is just relieved and grateful for a free meal on a highly stressful day. But this right here is the true emotional core of his first day.
Why is that?
Because it takes him years of working in the industry to realize the sheer magnitude of what Larry just did.
So what does this all mean? Why is paying for a simple vegetable sandwich on rye bread such a massive deal?
Because it completely violates the hidden rules of global B2B consulting.
Oh, wow.
If we look at the mechanics of vendor-client relationships, there is an ironclad rule about the financial flow of hospitality. Vendors buy lunch to court clients, always.
Right. As the offshore service provider, the author's company is the vendor. They're the ones pitching for the business they are supposed to host. They are supposed to flatter. They are supposed to pick up the tab to show deference to the American client.
Yes. The power dynamic flows entirely in one direction. So for Larry, who is the primary corporate client, the buyer holding the purse strings, to take a stressed, newly arrived junior offshore programmer down the street, order him a specialized meal to accommodate his dietary restrictions and pay for it out of his own pocket, he completely inverted the standard industry playbook.
He threw the corporate hierarchy right out the window.
He did. Larry had every right to act like a powerful corporate buyer, enforcing a strict power dynamic. He could have let the kid figure it out himself.
Easily.
But he bypassed all the structural corporate rules and just acted out of pure, protective human empathy. He saw a kid who was drowning, entirely out of his element, and he took care of him.
And that simple, rule-breaking act of kindness turned that little Garden Street deli into the author's safe haven for the rest of his time in Pensacola. Okay, let's wrap this up. What an absolutely wild sequence of emotional swings for a single Monday. You start the morning in a hotel room, throwing a king-size chocolate bar into an empty backpack just so you have a physical anchor to keep from floating away in your own anxiety.
You survive a commute through an alien landscape of highways, fast food, and churches, only to have your grand expectations of American corporate architecture shattered by a highly efficient, one-story warehouse.
You walk into an engine room disguised by the psychological masking of polite corporate euphemisms. You meet a 30-year tech deity who instantly and rationally views you as a threat to his professional survival.
Yet you also experience the profound, albeit illusory, luxury of workspace equity, getting the exact same premium wireless laptop and physical desk space as that very same 30-year veteran.
And it all culminates in chewing on incredibly confusing rye bread while your boss quietly breaks the ultimate rule of corporate consulting, flipping the vendor-client dynamic just to make sure a terrified kid is okay.
This raises an important question for all of us about the environments we work in today.
It really does. It leaves you wondering how much of what we consider to be strict professionalism is really just regional culture and corporate verbal inflation disguised as absolute rules. And what would happen in our own offices if just occasionally, like Larry, we stripped all those rigid hierarchies away and chose to act with basic protective human empathy? Something to chew on, maybe with a slice of rye bread. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.